What is a function? That's what we're going to look at, and I'm hoping that at the end of this lesson it'll be a definition or a description that you can give, not just as a vocab word, but something that literally makes sense to you. And so let's go back and look at what we already know, especially looking at scatter plots. I can take a table of data like this, the height and weight of 6 different people, and I can put them on a graph, and I can even make a line of best fit through those dots to help me kind of understand the relationship, that line of best fit. And we know that that line of best fit, that blue line, could be described as an equation, y equals 48x minus 126. So this is all familiar. And then we could take it a step further. We could go, what type of relationship do we see? Once we put it on this graph, we could go, hey, that's a positive slope there, so that makes it a positive relationship. And then we could describe it. We know that positive relationships, as the x increases, the y goes up. So I could say there's a positive relationship between height and weight. As the height increases, that's your x value, the weight increases. That was your y value. And we could take the height and weight from this little 2 sentences here and replace it with x's and y's. There's a positive relationship between x and y. As the x increases, the y increases. And that's what happens with positive relationships. So the main idea I want you to remember is that the x value right here, this x value, it's going to impact the y. Okay, something's going to happen. This x, it impacts the y. It's going to change the y somehow. Okay, so now let's take a look at what is a function. A function is a relationship. Well, that sounds familiar. That's what we just looked at, a relationship where each x value gives you a very unique y value. Okay. If we go back and we look at this real quick right here, I can tell you that 5 feet right here is probably going to get us something a little bit less than 120. So I don't know, 117, 115. And if I looked back at it again and I said, well, what about another person that's about 5 foot? You'd still say it's going to be hitting somewhere over here on the y value. That's the idea of a relationship. It's very reliable, it's very predictable, and I can come back to this relationship and it's still going to exist. So if I had to go through and use a new terminology for x value, I could say input is the same as x value. And I could say that output is the same as y value. So if they talk about inputs, they're talking about x's. If they talk about outputs, they're talking about y's. And so if we wanted to make sense of this, we could say it's a relationship where an x gives you a y value. And you're probably sitting there going, yes, I understand that already. The x gets you the y. I'm used to finding that on those scatter plots with those line of best fits. And I say, great, you pretty much know what a function is. Now, let's take a look at this function. Not a scatter plot, but this is just a linear equation, a linear line that we've graphed here. But it is a function. Why? There's a relationship between the number of hours and the number of miles traveled. And if you're going, whoa, 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 that sounds just like a scatter plot, and I'm going to say yes, 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 yes. Okay? I know that this dot right here could give me table data of 0, 0. And that if I looked at 1 right here, it would give me an answer of 20 for its y. Same thing with the 2 and the 40 right here. Same thing with the 3 and the 60. And it keeps going forever. I could keep making this graph bigger and bigger and use the 4, the 5. I can make a 6, 7. Keeps going on forever. So we know there's a relationship in this function. And it's positive. No big deal. But the idea is that this x value is going to be able to give me a y value. And it's very predictable. And if I suddenly said, let's look at this 1 again. What's it going to give me for the y? Do you see it's going to pop out at 20 right there exactly? The idea of a function is that if I look at this x value and I know what the y value is going to be for it, if I looked at it again for the same x value, it's going to give me the same y value. So if I looked at the 2 again, so let's look at the 2 right here, and I'll write down 2 right here, I wonder what my y value is going to be. Well, a function says this x value of 2 is going to give you the same thing again and again. No matter how many times you look at it, it's going to be the same number. In this case, it's 40 again. I travel 2 hours, I go 40 miles. And that's what it said right here. I go 2 hours, I travel 40 miles. Gee, I wonder what we're going to get if we look at the 3 again. It gave me a 60 before. Would it still happen? Yep. So the generic definition is a function is where every x value gives you one y value. It means if you look at that x value again, you're going to get the exact same y value. And instead of saying x and y, they're going to say a function is a relationship where each input gives you one output. That's all that it is.